Hello and very welcome to the Tarot Talk and one of the rare interviews in English. And I'm really happy to welcome again Andrea I, a creator of tarot decks, an author, an multimedia artist, illustrator. I don't know what you don't do in this area. And he has created a beautiful deck again. And this is the deck of the Tarot of the Crossed Destinies, and it comes with this box, and we will talk today about this new deck. So I'm happy to see you again here in the Tarot Talk. Andrea, very warm welcome.
Willkommen. Thank you, Ivana. It's an absolute pleasure to be here again, and thanks to everyone we will watch this video. Thank you for everyone.
Yeah, it's the second tarot deck I have made by you, designed by you. And this is a really special deck. And I would like to know what was the intention or the motivation to do another deck. I think it's your third or fourth tarot deck, right?
Yes, I never count them, but I think they are around that. I think you are right. You may be right. I don't know. Usually I create something when something is missing. I mean, something is missing. I mean, when I want to create, when I have something to say, when I want to communicate something more. And with the big tarot deck that I created, the Book of Shadows, the alchemy stories. It was a very complex project. I wanted to focus on the magic of tarot, why tarot are magical. So I explore with animation, multimedia content, so a full feature film, a graphic novel. It was incredibly complex to create and it was absolutely amazing. I lost myself in my parallel world and absolutely love it because I recover all the characters that I created for my art exhibition, the films and everything. It's like the jigsaw puzzle coming together, creating finally the final vision. With the new project, I wanted to enter into the tarot cards. I wanted to leave tarot and I wanted to for people to enter into the tarot. And then I remember something, a book that is with me for, has been being with me for many, many years. I read is the Castle of Crossed Destinies. His author is Italo Calvino. I started reading Calvino was about as a teenager, and I never stopped. I mean, I love him. He's quirky, he's fantastical, he's very philosophical, he's very, very deep, but without being academic. He's, let's say, if you know Borges, he's like Borges. He belong to that kind of writers. They want to make you think, to make you entertain, and challenge you, and in a nice and intelligent way. He created this narrative, this short novel, where imagine a group of people, they are lost in a wood, and they found refuge in a castle. But as soon as they enter into the castle, they lose the ability to talk. So they want to communicate their own story, but they are unable to do it. But in the middle of the table, Lee in the center, there is a tarot deck. And they started to watch together the cards. And they realized that the court cards resemble them. So they are dressed in the same way, the facial features, it looks like portrait of them. So one started to put the first card like, this is me. And he put that on the table. And then he started to narrate his own story using just the visual of the cards and it's called the Tarot of Crossed Destinies because you create at the end a big tableau when you have row and line intersecting, and when the cards intersecting, the destinies of the characters are intersecting. So they connect into the story. So the lady that is in the damsel in distress, she saw a knight passing by, but there in the distance, and then when she narrated the story, she discovered the story of this other person, and so they interact in a different way, and it's absolutely amazing. And I said, well, this is an exploration about how meaning is created, starting with simple images, because Calvino didn't know the meaning or traditional meaning of tarot cards. He was not interested in that. He wanted to see what kind of stories can emerge from just a visual, an image, something mythical, something fantastical, something intriguing to see. And I keep thinking about this book. I love it. And I said, well, it is time to create the castle of cross destinies. And so I wanted to create the castle. It is, from the beginning, it was quite challenging because I decided to have every tarot transformed in a room, in a hall, in a corridor, in a secret garden. So it's a place, it's a specific place inside the castle. And every, like in a building, every room is connected to another. I wanted that all the rooms are connected to be connected, so all the cards are connected. You can shuffle all the cards whenever you want. Every card is connected visually to all the others. That it was quite, I mean, it was intriguing. It was something that I really wanted to do. What is called a miriorama, a multi-mirio, so many, and rama like panorama. So it's many panoramas is one deck. So what I wanted to do is to create an infinite architecture of esoterica where people can leave the tarot. And to do that, I devise a lot of stuff because if you look graphically, there are so many things happening there, decisions that I took, and maybe we can explore later, like there are no people in the tarot card. So imagine to draw the Emperor of Justice without the person. And then there are just strange inhabitants there, like ghost and skeleton, exactly. And for me, that is more important than everything else because I wanted that the only living people, the living person inside the castle is the explorer, the reader. It is where you enter into this place like an
Mhm.
empty throne. Why there is an empty throne? What happened? The meaning is incredibly deep, incredibly fantastical. It suggests a lot of stuff. I mean, the responsibility of the taking your role in life, the responsibility of taking decisions, and you enter in the room, you inhabit the room, and immediately everything shift and change
Mhm.
because what we are really used to do is exploring our space. We live in houses, we live inside architecture, so transforming tarot in an architecture, in architecture was something that I found incredibly intriguing, incredibly challenging, and while doing it, I discovered all the depth of the metaphor because it's a deep and beautiful metaphor. The castle is our mind, is our
Mhm.
psyche, is our unconscious, is our life, is the life of everyone else interconnected. So, like every card is crossed with all the others, so
Mhm.
our life. And so it was interesting. It's a project that again exploded in my mind and I started to narrate it like if the castle was a real place. Invented the story of the castle while I received different reports from people seeing the castle in different places. So I created a mythology, a deep mythology of the castle, because the castle appeared when you need it the most, when you
Mhm.
need an answer, when you have a lot of questions. And the castle is, in total, is the building, is like the god of tarot, the tarot itself, the tarot impersonificated. So the castle knows how to talk, it talks with you. And
Mhm.
I created the idea that when you enter into the castle, you sleep there one night. When you open the door in the morning, you don't see the corridor that led you to that room the night before. Because every night the castle, like a deck of cards, shuffle its room. And so every time they are different. And this is the way the castle communicate with you. If you're into the castle and you think about something, the castle answer you. While you walk in, you enter in the rooms that give you the answer or finish your thought. They are
Mhm.
complements, so you create a dialogue between you and the castle through tarot. So as you see, I started in a very simple way, but then everything exploded and I discovered many, many layers. Now, thanks to, because I decided to create a booklet. But of course, the booklet is not, I mean, when I finished it, I discovered it was not enough.
Mhm.
So I keep writing on my Substack. Every week I write something about the castle. It's free. I share it with everyone. And so I started to share my thought about the meaning of the cards, philosophy, mythology, narrative, fantastic narrative that was explaining things about the castle and tarot and everything. And I attracted a lot of people. And I started to know psychologists and now want to use the tarot for their own practice.
Mm.
And we started to talk about the metaphor of the castle with our mind and how to exploit it, how to use it, how to interpret it in a deeper way. And I love it because, as you see, layer after layer is added, and I love that. It's a living project. It's not like you create a deck, you put a deck on the market, you sell it, and it's done. No, it's keep going and on and on and on, and I love it.
Keep going, keeps on, yeah, inspiring also people. And just to show the people what you mean with different rooms, so if you see here, if you lay the cards next to each other, you see the floor and the different rooms, and you can enter each room. For example, here, the Pope, which is the Hierophant in the classical tarot. Yes, you see the key, you see the window, and here the skull with the head of the Pope. And yeah, there are clouds in the room. So where the clouds come from, you see the stars. So this is a very special room.
I wanted to create, when I said that every tarot card is a room, for me, that room is like a mythical, surreal place.
Mhm.
So every room in the castle is so big to contain the full universe. There are rooms with oceans with rolling waves. There are rooms that are forests and mountains and open spaces. Rooms that are different landscape, like a city. Maybe the
Mm.
city is the part of the castle, is another part of the castle, or maybe not. I mean, then there are elements that are recurring. If you pay attention, you see the evolution. There are
Mm.
things that are little, then they grow, then when they wither. There are lots of things happening there. And I put it there because I wanted to challenge the reader and give him more elements to build their own meanings, to
Yeah.
build to reach a bigger depth on on the tarot meaning in general. Because when I created a tarot deck, for me, it's not just what I wanted to communicate, but what I want to explore. I use a lot tarot in my creative practice and as an introspective tool, not for divination, but as a psychological tool for introspecting to clarify your mind and everything. So for me, it's very important that the tool works. It has
Mm.
not to be just funny and a nice idea.
Yeah.
So every object inside the card is there because it's a part of a meaning. It contributes to the meaning of the card, to the feeling of the card. If does not, I remove it.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it's a very complex, is intriguing creative process, but I really love it. When I was creating it, I was actually inside the room. I was
Mm.
feeling it. I was feeling the breeze entering. I was from the window. I was seeing the character talking, hearing the footstep of people. I mean, it's an amazing adventure. When you create something, you participate to what you create, and I
Absolutely.
love that. I really love it. I'm looking for a card that the tower. That is one of the cards that intrigue me, and is one of them. Yes, thank you. Because when you look for a card, is always the last one, and if you
Yes.
start with the last, is always the first. So as
Yeah.
you see, what I wanted to do here is apply a very intriguing philosophical concept. It was the change of perspective. If you think about the classical representation of the tower, you are in a safe place. You see from the distance a tower collapsing on top of a hill, the lightning hitting the tower, but you are safe. In the castle, you are in the same room. You are
Mm.
inside the tower where it collapsed. When I was drawing that, I felt the floor shaking, the rumble of the stones, the old stone crumbling, crashing. It was deep. It was amazing. It was emotional. I was really like, a Stendhal moment, syndrome of Stendhal moment, when you feel everything, you fall into the art. And I really love it because that was one of the first cards I draw as an experiment to see if the concept was sound. And I
Mm.
was so taken that I start crying while creating the card because I really felt it on my skin. I said, this is the tower. Because it's not anymore distant. I am inside. I feel the way and the burden of the collapsing. It was very personal. And that was the moment when I decided to go on. I decided that that was more important than I thought at that
Mm.
moment. I immediately have the feeling that this is a project that will grow. This is a project that lead to other things. And honestly, yes, I did it. I managed to have the fund to print the deck thanks to a Kickstarter campaign. And the way I narrated it in first person, I was one of I presented myself like an explorer of the castle, inviting the people to explore it with me. And I have to say, I never had such a beautiful Kickstarter campaign. I'd have many successful Kickstarter campaign where I have a lot of fun, but this one, I was waking every morning, going there, exploring the messages. I have people that dream about the card. They told me, have said, "Oh, I want to explore this card," because every card they have a little picture in the Kickstarter campaign. So I was struck by this card. I was so taken. I dream about it. I saw a detail. Tell me about it. I'm looking forward to walk into the castle. And I start talking about the castle as it was real with other people. So we were exploring the castle together. It was deep, it was amazing. It was an experiment in tarot, an experiment in storytelling and in connecting with people. I felt so connected that it was overwhelming. It was absolutely amazing. I still communicate with people that I met for the first time during the Kickstarter campaign, keep talking about the castle. I have a dear friend of mine that when the Kickstarter campaign finished, I wrote a text saying that, the castle has closed its gate, is over. The Kickstarter campaign ends in 2 hours, something like that. And she wrote me a message and said, I cried when I read your message because I wanted to live in the castle. And I realized in that moment what I created was not just important for me, because as a creator, I used to talk with the characters I create. I mean, as an Italian, I like my pasta or my pizza. Whenever I'm cooking my pasta, I have on my back people talking, my characters. And sometimes they are nasty, like the alchemist say, why you are not talking about me anymore? Or why you are not telling the story that I told you? And I said, but I told another story, but this is not the end. I did something different. And then I listen and then I write. I mean, for me, it's like, it's not writing like Andrea Aste writing a story. I listen the story through the characters, or I live the story through them. So I lose control of the creative process. I feel like just wanted this writing down or illustrating what they are telling me. But I have to say that my best character, like Adeste, the Victorian explorer, that you find in many of my books, children books, animation, and tarot deck, is still with me. I invented, or maybe I met him many years ago when I did an exhibition at the Natural Science Museum in Turin. I created a very crazy exhibition with fantastic creatures, and the person who find them was Ara Desten, a naturalistic explorer, adventurer, whatever. I created something like 15 years ago. He's still with me talking, creating, doing, sailing with his ship. And he's amazing. I love it.
Amazing. That sounds so great. And also, this card, the Tower card, inspired me to a story I wrote. And I write more or less fantasy episodes of a fantastic country, which is called Takania. And I wrote a story about each of the major arcana cards. And I didn't know what should I do with the tower? And then I saw your card and I said, that's a good idea to put the main character in the tower, where there's also thunder, lightning, heavy rain, and she finds shelter in a destroyed tower. And in the night, she met the ghost of a person who lived in the tower when it was destroyed. And the person, the ghost, tells her story. So
Oh, I
this
like
is
that.
this is my story with your
No,
card.
but this is what I like is, I
Yeah.
mean, tarot should be a tool for creating stories. When I create something and I put it in the world, then this is a tool for creating other stories. It's not anymore mine, it's a shared space. I want to
Yeah.
show you something because when I created the tarot cards, I try to devise different tricks like change of perspective. So in the tower, you are inside, and there are different things where the inside and outside are different. But look at the 3 and the 10 of coins. This is maybe is a city that is being built, maybe is another isle of the castle. And then
Mm.
you have the 10. When you put them together, you see
Yeah.
that now the city
Yeah.
is finished.
Yeah.
But if you put it in the inverse order, what was built is dismantled or maybe is
Yeah.
collapsing, is decaying. So look
Yeah.
how many different stories he can create.
Yeah.
2 cards. And every time I take these 2 cards, different stories started to emerge in my mind. And this is what I love about this deck, that while I found that if whatever deck I create or whatever deck I use, from the Marseille or Visconti Sforza or whatever, if you see the Empress, you see the Empress. And after a while, I don't want to say that stop to telling story, but what you see is always a woman sitting on a throne, or
Yeah.
differently. If when you see the Empress and there is no one in the throne, you start exactly here. The Empress is something completely different. It's something
Yeah.
that is incredibly deep, incredibly powerful, flowing. It's like nature, the power of nature, of generation, is it's very deep.
Yeah.
But every time you start to see something different, like the crown, but the crown is blossoming. There is a flower. Is coming from the real crown, or is a flower that happened to grow near and it looks like is
Mm.
flowering? It depends on how you read it. There is a river. Why this river is crossing the room and crashing everything? What is this strange magic? They are fireflies, or is the sparkle of magic?
Yeah.
Why is like a Venus of Wildendorf? This is, was my reference when I created it, because I want to create this mythical, divine, feminine figure.
Mm.
So as you see, my mind goes always through history, lost civilization, philosophy,
Yeah.
psychology. But I think this is the real depth of tarot.
Yeah.
When you read tarot through these lenses, or when you create tarot from these different points of view, otherwise it's just a fancy tarot. If you don't put there all the history, the culture, the things that make us humans, well, is a silent deck. It will not speak as it should be.
Yeah. And also invites you to think, for example, with the lovers, you think, okay, where are they gone? There still is their chest here. So where have they disappeared? Was it the bed is well done? Well done? Is it correct English? I
Yeah,
don't know.
yes, yes, the bed is done. No, no, yes, it's done.
And
I
so
was thinking about, I think it's done. Yes, the bed is done, so it was
the
not
bed
used.
is done. It doesn't look like they have a great night.
Or maybe someone clean after, put everything in order.
Maybe
You don't
you
know. But then
don't
you
you
see the
don't know.
arrows. But
You
then you
don't
see
know,
the
and
arrows on
you
the floor.
yeah,
So Cupid was there.
yeah,
Love was there. Is
yeah,
not anymore? Or
yeah,
you don't see, but what is important here is that you don't see all the room. You see
yeah,
just the alcove, you see just the bed, and then you don't see anything else. Why? Like even the chest, you see just a part of
yeah,
it. Is I think the what is more important here is everything is eaten. You
yeah,
have to imagine what happened there.
yeah. You're invited to enter the room and to have a look, and yeah, it's good for yeah your fantasy, and it's an invitation.
Yes, but this I mean this is why the biggest challenge I found when I was doing the first card, because I think the first card ever was the tower, if I remember right. It was the tower. But then when I stumbled in I said, okay, it's working. But then I said, okay, wait a moment. When, if there are a figure, a human figure, what happens? Like the Pope. Do I do the
Mm,
Pope? I said, I don't want to draw a Pope. I prefer the name of Pope than Pope and Popes instead of High Priest and High Priestess, because I think it's more heavily burdened. There is a lot of legends going on, like Popes, the Popes Johann. So the references are incredibly deeper, and I prefer to use that one.
mm,
Because one is not exclusive of the others, of course, but I prefer. And then I thought about the role of the Pope in Tarot. what
Mm.
he's doing, the deep meaning. And so it became a very surreal place, like a cosmic key
Yeah.
opening the sky. So this is the opening to ascend to another reality, a
Mm.
different reality, like a ladder to go up. It is interesting, but there are lots of things happening there that should put you on the attention. Like there is a skull, the skull of the Pope with the
Yeah.
tiara in on his head. It is a memento mori,
Yeah.
remind to remember that you have to die, that you are powerful now, but you are just an instrument.
Yeah.
You are not the power, you are the instrument of that power. You don't hold the power, you are just a tool for it. And then
Mm.
if you look at the columns, there is a peculiar motif on the columns. And as I said before, you have to look at every single details. Is like
Mm.
you see there are, and it's not in focus, but it's okay. There are little men
Yeah.
kneeling. This is the sycophants. They are the sycophants. So pay
Yeah.
attention on what you do. That there are the sky,
Very
the
good.
stars that are painted in the
Uh,
ceiling. Actually, they are real. They are becoming real. Like the
yeah.
clouds and everything is a room that is expanding,
Yeah.
transforming into another reality.
Yeah. It's really amazing. And I really like the cards, and there are two cards like. I really like. I like them more than the others.
Oh, I want to know which one now. I'm very curious.
One is the Seven of Wands.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's the phoenix, but I don't know if you know that the Slavic people have their own legend. It's called Pták Ohnivák, the firebird. And there are a lot
No.
of fairy tales. Um, okay, I know two, but probably there are more. And which tell the stories about this firebird, about Pták Ohnivák in Czech. And when I saw this card, immediately thought about these tales from my childhood. So this is why this card is quite special to me. It's a kind of phoenix, but one of the stories is about the bird who steals apples, and the king wants to have this magical bird. And there are the three sons which have to go for a quest and find the bird and so on. So it's a bit different than the phoenix stories. But yeah, I
I
really
like
love
that.
these stories, my childhood. And when I saw the card, I said, wow, this is not for me, it's not the Phoenix, it's for me the Pták Ohnivák.
And it's intriguing because this is the sleeve for the
Ah,
hardcover book, very luxury and very special
yeah,
hardcover book. And the sleeve is like the key, the keyhole of the door of the
yeah,
castle. And which card do you see? You
yeah.
see the
Wow.
phoenix. Is the idea of the rebirth through tarot, to learn tarot, to use tarot to become a better version of yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, that is for me is the psychological or creative use of tarot. If you want to use tarot for divination, I don't think the tarot will make you a better person. Just answer your question is different. But if you use, I mean, I guess so. Yes, I never
yeah.
thought about it. If you use it for clarify your mind, or everything is completely different. I like to do experiment, a psychological experiment with tarot, like
Mm,
things that you cannot do alone. You do with a friend. You pick up a card, you put it on the table, and you ask your friend, don't think about the meaning of the cards, but what do you feel, what do you see,
yeah,
do you feel comfortable and comfortable, curious, safe, or threatened by something? What do you think this object is here? What is happening here? Read the story. What story tell you this room? Because every room is like left. It's like the
yeah,
characters that were inhabited there left it. So the king, the emperor, is not there anymore. You see the throne, but there is the scepter, there is the crown there. So what happened? He ran, he died. What happened? There is a story, he has to
yeah,
come. So it's as a story, depending on how you read it, the story, the other person can help you to read your emotion, your status, or your things. And in this way, I like to do it with my best friend and say, okay, I read this tarot, this card, I suggest this story. And so we analyze why, how you see it written, why, now you are insecure, why is the insecurities coming from? And you go on and on and on. And I like that, is intriguing.
yeah. Another card which I really like is the Seven of Cups. And this is also special to me because when I start, well, I've recorded several meditations by now in German, but probably one day they will come also in English
I hope
about
so.
the major arcanas. And when I start with a meditation, I guide the people to a room where there are many, many doors, and they have to choose one door, which leads them to the magical place where they're going to meet the death or the lovers or the fool and so on. And yeah, and then when I saw this card, I said, okay.
Well, if you think the door as a concept is an incredibly deep and philosophical idea, concept, because think about the door without door, the door that you cannot pass if you want to, the door that doesn't open if you want to open it. You can open it only if you do it without knowing that you want it, without the intention to open it.
Mhm.
This is the door of Zen. Think about Buddhism. Think about the door as a threshold. So the crossing between world, between realities, between rooms, between different status of stuff. And I like that. So that card for me, immediately when I have to draw immediately, I thought about floating doors. Because I at the beginning I thought to lay the door against a wall, like you surely have. But what if they are floating and you don't see what is like they lead somewhere? But you have no clue about anything, just the image that is there
Mhm.
carved or painted in the door of the shape of the door itself. Then the space that is there is like another dimension. And you will discover you only open it. The real question is if I open one of these door, I can come back or it will be closed on my back because this I mean I will trapped there or I will find other doors.
Yeah,
I mean,
interesting
it's
question.
interesting, but is a question that I pose in an ironical way, but is in a philosophical way too. Imagine if, I mean, here in this specific card, every door represents a dream, something that you want to achieve. So the question out of metaphor is really important. Ask yourself if the pursuit or your dream or your wish is such that you lose the ability to enjoy your life, your friendship. What are you
Mhm.
doing to achieve your goals? Everything without morality? Are you destroying your life, someone else's life, to enter
Mhm.
in one of that, into room behind one of those doors?
Yeah.
So when I ask, pay attention when you open one of these doors, because if you close it behind your back, you can be trapped in your dream and maybe it's not a pleasant one. Sometimes you realize that the best thing in life is the process of achieving your goal, not the
Mhm.
moment when you have it. When you moment you realize a dream, the dream is dead. You don't have it in front of you anymore. It's
Yeah,
more beautiful when you start working on it. But
yeah,
this is again is the difference between the traveler and the tourist. The tourist is in a hurry. He want to go there and stay there. And the tourist bring on his back his home, his mentality, the
yeah,
mentality of his home. I'm not a tourist. I hate tourism. I'm a traveler. When I travel, I enjoy the moment from the point connecting me from here to the point when I want to reach, and I enjoy the journey. But
yeah.
most important, I leave behind, or I try everything I know. So when I will go to a different country, I try to speak a little bit of the language, or at least to be curious, to eat their own food, to listen their music, to explore their places, not to go to the tourist traps. I know a lot of people that I don't know they are English. They go to Spain and they only want to eat English food. And I know American like that. They don't want to eat strange things. For me, exactly the opposite. If I go, I don't know, to a place that I've never been, I want to eat exactly what I eat. I want to eat the traditional cuisine, not the one that is done in a tourist place when they melt it with my own taste just to make it more palatable. I don't want that. I like that, and I do it for everything, for reading, for music, for I think it's part of being curious, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, For me, there are some limitations. For example, no insects in Asia or stuff like
I
that.
have that. It's funny because you said something, because a friend of mine said, what about insect? And I said, that is a very strong cultural conditioning that in Europe, usually you don't eat insect. You see insect like something disgusting. The other is the real alien of our life. You don't want it even in your home. They try to. I don't have a very bad relationship with insect, but I don't have a very good relationship. And if someone give me, I don't know, an insect to eat, I will say, I don't think I will be able to do it. You have to give me an insect without knowing that an insect, but you don't have to tell me about that. So I don't think I will can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you don't have to travel that far. Here in Switzerland, it's quite usual to eat horse meat.
Oh, in Italy too. I discovered in England that people look at me like I was a monster of everything. Here don't eat. In England they don't eat
Yeah,
horse meat.
and to be honest, where you can buy horse meat or you can have it in the restaurant. Yeah, it's not something that well, it's some kind of special, but not that special. But I think, well, I haven't tried. I'm just living here for 9 years. I've never eaten horse because, yeah, it's as you said, it's something cultural, and on the other hand, one can say, what's the difference between a cow and a horse?
It's just exactly. It's just cultural. It's a
Yeah.
cultural difference. Like, I mean, I I have a horse meat when I was a kid because my mother was cooking it sometime. But then growing up, I become almost 19% vegetarian. So I eat meat in very special occasion in special dishes, and usually I almost 90% vegetarian, so I prefer. So it's difficult at the end when you realize why you don't eat a dog or a horse and a cow. Yes, poor cow. I mean, you started to feel guilty. I say, why the cow? Yes, and it's a little bit. I'm sorry. No, I
uh,
don't know.
yeah. When I had a look at the first look on your cards, I noticed that it was really, really different from your last deck, from the Alchemist story. And I've brought here two cards, so
Yeah,
you see the full of the Alchemist stories. It's quite close to the Wade Smith deck. He has his back, he has his head, the sun is shining, his dog. And the Fool of the new deck of the Tarot of the Crossed Destinies, it's very different. There are footprints leading to a dark wood,
with
and there is
something
a
watching at
sword
you.
here. And so I thought, well, it's getting now some kind of dark and mysterious compared to the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
decks. So, yeah, are you now a little bit darker or a little bit
I
more
think.
mysterious?
I think that I explore when I created the Ghastly Lenormand, the tarot deck in the Lenormand deck in the shape of a coffin.
Mm,
I open like Pandora's box of my imagination. I always have a flair, a taste for the macabre, for the gruesome, the death, and I love it. I really, but in with like Gory, Edward Gorey, with a twist of the humor, and I like that. So this time, I always thought then that it's important to face the darkest part of our life, the shadow of our soul, and face it. Then, when you said yes, it's dark, it's macabre, whatever, but it's even full of humor. So you see this strange rock with yellowish eyes, quite smiling, it's not menacing. I think I wanted to mix the two things, even because I think I go in deeper into my creativity. So this time I dare a lot to go complete, to refuse completely the visual narrative of the traditional deck and to create my own. So
mhm,
because there are rooms, there are no people, so they are completely different, keeping the meaning and going deeper with philosophy, music, and all the cultural references that I wanted to put there. But then I wanted to explore the feeling that I had when I was a kid.
mhm.
I mean, I always have a overflowing imagination. And when I was a kid, I was not scared of darkness, but sometimes when you switch off the light at night, you have everything coming alive. And it was so wonderfully magical and scary or fantastic. When I created in the preface of the book of the booklet of this deck, I think I did it there. I don't remember now. I have it out because I'm writing too many things and now I'm forgetting. Maybe not. But what I want, now I have to check. Sorry, but let's say that what I wanted to do, what I have in mind, is my childhood and my mother. My mother was a tarot reader, but she was using tarot to create a aura of magic around our life. He
Mhm.
was humorous, like when it was too late at night, she was playing tarot, and then she said, I see in the tarot that it's time for you to go to bed. So it was fun. But then there were other times when she was speaking with, I don't know, with the dead, with another reality. She tried to communicate with my grandma, that was, of course, deceased. And so the door of the kitchen were closed, something was happening there. And it was mysterious, it was sacred, it was magical, it was scary, but at the same time was endearing. For the Day of the Dead, I remember she was roasting a few chestnut, put it in the table of the kitchen in the center with a bowl of milk because it's the food for the dead.
Mhm.
And then at night, we were expecting our grandma to go and drink the milk and eat the food. And I remember that I always wanted to see the ghost of my grandma there. And so my mother says, no, remember that ghosts are very shy. They don't like to be disturbed. So if you stay up at night, because she know exactly what I wanted to do, if you stay up at night, they will not come because they don't want to be disturbed. They don't want to be seen. They belong to the reality, but in this day, they communicate with us
Mhm.
but they don't want to be seen. So I left the door ajar opening to have a glimpse and everything. And all the time I fell asleep. And in the morning, all the chestnut was eaten and the milk was gone. So imagine as a kid, grandma was there. And my mother, of course, it was my mother eating everything, I mean, unfortunately. But it was amazing because we live with this. So
Mhm.
imagine living as a kid in a house with the house of the spirits with they are alive, they are there, they are talking
Yeah.
with my mother, they're giving messages. It was absolutely fantastic. And what I wanted to create with this deck actually is something that I have always have in mind every time I talk about occultism, every time I create something that is esoteric. But in this deck, I really wanted to go deeper because it's more storytelling driven, this deck. For me, it was incredibly easy to go down into my memories. And sometimes it was not easy at all. So maybe this is the reason why some cards are more darker or can have a darker aspect. Not
Yeah.
everything is nice in our life. There are moments of sorrow, moments of abuse, moments that are difficult. And creating this deck for me was like plunging in my own memory
Mhm.
and see from the outside what it was, upsetting everything without trying to judging and be grateful.
Mhm.
So it's a deep journey, but the
Yeah.
creative process is always, if you are a real artist, and I don't want to say that I'm a real artist, I want to say that if you create something not for money, not for fame, but because you need to
Mhm.
explore something or to let it out something that is killing you from inside, it's a process that consumes you, that enlightens you, that destroys, that give you joy and sorrow at the same time.
Yeah.
People they saw me create when I paint, whatever I'm doing. I singing, I'm crying, I move around the room, I dancing. The creative process is very physical.
Mhm.
And people are shocked to see that. I talk with my characters, I answer back. It's like my mind is not here anymore. I'm here physically, but not mentally. So people they saw me like that. It was shocked. They thought I was sick. But I think this is not doesn't happen to me alone. I talk with other people that are writers, that are musicians. They have the same. I don't
Mhm.
want to say problem because it's not a problem. It's a reality. It was
Yeah.
you called the zone. When you create, you enter in contact with something else or yourself. Is what the ancient Greek called muse. The
Yeah.
muse are talking to you. Homer is not a genius, he's just listening the muse. I mean, this is a very humble position. You are in contact with the divine, with the absolute, with
Yeah.
the outside yourself. And when you are in that place, everything is possible. is like to, for a moment, to be like a Buddha, to be enlightened, for a second, to have a glimpse of the universe, of the
Yeah.
meaning of everything, and losing the moment before and not be able to transfer it.
Yeah.
And it's an intense moment.
Yeah, that's true. And also, well, when I write my stories, maybe I have an idea with which I start, but then they start developing their life of their own.
Yep, I know. It is, yes, exactly. At the end, you feel like to be a spectator
Yeah,
of your own story. You
yeah,
lose control. You
yeah,
you want to write something, and at the end, the story writes itself.
yeah, yeah. And it's fascinating.
But I think it's the most beautiful thing because in this way you discover and you never get bored. If I already knew the result of a painting of a tarot card, maybe I will not do it
Yeah,
because everything is my mind and everything is in my mind is exactly the result. It would be boring. I started with an idea and then something else happened and the result is completely different. And I
yeah.
like that. So you discover it.
How long did it take to make this deck?
Oh, this is a very tricky question because I've discovered it incredibly fast. I thought it was slow, but no. I think less than a year. I think in few months I already do all the illustrations
Wow,
because it was so inspiring that I was drawing almost a card a day.
wow,
So while doing other things too. So, but I work all day and night. But I was so taken that it was like, I don't know, watching your favorite series and you don't want to finish it and you stay all night to see all of it. So for me, it was like that. So I think in 4 months I did everything, the writing, the concept, the experiment. If they were not four, they were five, but just that.
wow.
But
That's
it was a rapture. I mean, it was really, but I'm fast. If you think about the discombobulator, the idea was created in one day. In one day, I have the website, not the full website done, but the idea, the logo, the name, the subtitle, and the style of the magazine exploded in my mind like an atomic bomb. In few seconds, it was done. Then the rest of the time, it was finalizing everything, correcting.
wow. Oops.
When I have a creative moment, I'm really into it completely. I
Yeah.
think about it while I'm cooking, when I'm showering, when I'm my friends know it's difficult to talk with me. We go to a pub, and yes, I try to relax, but then ideas, when I'm so much taken by a project, then I always have a pencil with me, a piece of paper, because
Mm,
whatever trig another idea of a vision or solve a problem, and I go on like that. I mean, when I was creating the Tarot of Crossed Destinies, I used to shower in with a piece of paper there outside the water, of course, but I have I start drawing while finished to remove the salt from my body. I reached that point that if you want is a little bit too much, is obsessive. But it's the way my mind works and I decide not to
yeah.
stop it. I don't care anymore. I mean, it is the way I am and I accept it. It's okay.
Oh, you're really passionate about your
I'm
art.
totally passionate about it. But I think this derived because from a fact that I can say it in a bad way that I feel like I've lost time. I think like I've lost the best part of my life. I wasted it. It's not that like that, but let's say that
Mm,
I live in the wrong country for too long.
mm,
I live in Italy till I was 42,
mm,
40, 42, something like that. I always try to go away. I have part of my childhood in Buenos Aires, but I never like Italy. It's an amazing place to go, holiday, food, friends. I mean, it's okay, but it's living there is a trap.
mm,
As an artist, I was not allowed to illustrate a book because if I love books, I loved illustrating stories. Why not?
mm,
When my gallerist discovered and I will illustrate my book, he kicked me out of the gallery. Say you are not an artist anymore. I wanted to explore animation. Oh, if you do animation, you are not an artist anymore. You have to keep painting. And this is the reason why I collaborated with museums because I went with my ideas, very intellectual, playful, crazy ideas, like an exhibition about mythological fictional beast
mm.
creatures alongside real creature, connecting them with the life and the story of my city, Turin. And it
Mm.
was an exhibition that brought me to the Venice Biennale. It was an incredibly success. But I was free to create whatever I wanted with museums and not
Mm.
with galleries. So I stopped working with galleries of art and I prefer to work with museums. And then
Yeah.
everyone was criticizing me because you are not enough famous to work with museums. And I said, but you don't want to work with museums if you're famous. It's the idea that has to be rewarded, not your fame. You can be famous, I can be a complete imbecile, sorry,
Yeah.
without an idea, without originality, without a life on your own. So I always fear to live outside my country. I never had enough money to go away. Thanks to my first tarot project, it was such an enormous success that everyone invited me to travel to present the Book of Shadow, the Lost Code of Tarot. That was the first part of the Book of Shadow, an alchemist story, an alchemist story. I traveled the world. I was in Australia, one in the States, and it was amazing. I discovered finally the freedom, and I never came back to Italy.
Mm.
So this is the reason why now I feel like for me it's always Christmas. I'm a kid, every day is sitting under the tree opening a gift. And the gift is the gift of creativity. So now I'm realizing everything I was forbidden to do before. I
Mm.
did it and I paid the price. I mean, I
Mm.
really pay an incredibly high price in Italy. I
Mm.
mean, I was insulting in a way they have no idea. It's the only country that where a gallerist asked to have sex with him to have an exhibition. It was disgusting. Of course I didn't. I prefer not to have an exhibition. I'm not that kind of person. I have people that wanted to buy big oil on canvas. So you know how long is to create a oil on canvas because you have to wait to dry. So it can
Mm.
be even months. And they were big for 50 euro. And when I said this is offensive, he said, but you are a starving artist. Or you take 50 euro or you don't take anything. This is the mentality. It's offensive. It's disgusting. Sorry, I didn't want to open in such a negative way. I realize it right now. Sorry for that.
No
But I
problem.
mean, it's in the past. But
Yeah.
this is the past that I have to face every single day. So now, I mean, I never been so happy when the moment I moved to England.
Yeah.
For me, it is like living in paradise. It's not a perfect place. There doesn't exist a perfect place.
No.
Every country has its own problems, but at least here, no one there to tell me what I have to do and not to do as an artist.
Yeah.
So now I work day and night like a madman. Of course, finally, I was a reclusive behind bars, and now there are no jails anymore, no bars anymore.
Mm.
So I
No.
didn't want it to shock you, sorry, but
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
mean,
not
this
shocked,
is,
but
I think is important to talk about the reality that we live when
yeah.
it's good and when it's bad. I mean, in
Yeah.
Italy, I tried to commit suicide twice
Mm.
because it was too difficult, it was too tough. This is the reason why I wanted to create the Ghastly Lenormand,
Mm.
to remember, to remind myself how life can be beautiful and rich and
Mm.
wonderful. And I think what I am now, so crazy, creative, visionary, so full of lust for life, derive for everything from the dark moment and I live there. So I learn to be thankful to that, not to despise them. But I will never go back to, back to live in Italy. Please, no, I don't. No, thank you.
No, can fully understand that. All the experiences we made in our past made us to become the people who we are now. So,
Exactly.
without all these experiences, we would be another person. So, yeah, maybe if you wouldn't have had these experiences in Italy, your art and your life would be completely different.
Exactly. It is the reason why creating the Tarot of Cross Destiny was so important because I wanted to make peace with the past.
Mm.
Of course, I'm always passionate when I talk about it, but this is my Italian nature. So, I mean, I don't refuse everything that is Italian. I say just, I don't want to live as an artist in Italy. If you do another job, it can be an incredibly beautiful place. I miss my Mediterranean. I miss Sardinia, my land. I miss a lot of stuff there. But living, no, I prefer the freedom I have here.
Yeah, I think freedom is one of the most important things.
And then I think that every one of us has his own wishes, way of expressing feelings and sentiments and dreams and our own mentality. Sometimes the country we live in has a mood, a mentality that is too much opposite to the one we are. And so we
Mm.
need to move. We find another place. And the world is amazingly big, it's round.
Yeah.
Why living all your life in only one country? I live, I think, everywhere in France, in Germany, in Spain, in Argentina, in England, in America, in Australia. I mean, I try to explore life as much as I could.
Yeah, you don't need to tell that to me because I was born in the Czech Republic. I grew up in Germany. I'm living in Switzerland. I've been
Yes.
traveling a lot. I spent 5 months in India working there for two different jobs.
Wow.
One was an apprenticeship during my law studies, and the other was while I was in a big insurance company. I had to start building up the HR department. So I spent there a couple of months living in India, not traveling, but really living in one place. And yeah,
But
while
this is
living,
amazing. This is what makes you what you are now.
yeah,
I think that it enrich you in a way that is enormous. And then living in a place, you see the good and the bad,
yeah.
and
And I,
it's enriching.
Yeah, and
It's
I love
amazing.
traveling, and I usually traveled on my own when I went to countries where it is no longer possible to go, for example, to
Oh, wow.
Syria
Yeah.
and things like that. And I went there on my own. No travel group, no nothing, just me and my backpack.
I admire you for that. You're, I mean, you're bold. I
And
admire you. It's great.
yeah, and I sometimes think, yeah, where to go next
Yeah,
or
I
where to
like this
live
kind of
next.
mentality.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that Switzerland will be our last destination.
But I think I love the idea that there is always another place to discover,
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
something to taste new, that something to explore that is new. I think is really, really important.
Yeah,
Is amazing. I mean, we are here to exploring, and this
yeah,
maybe is why I keep talking about my characters are all explorers,
yeah,
magicians. I mean, magician like alchemist, and
yeah,
because all of them are explorer of a field,
yeah,
exploring the field of magic, exploring to space, time,
yeah,
exploring in powerful things that I think this is like mirror of what I would like to do or mirror of what I want to be.
yeah,
And I think is important. I always try to push all people that I know into exploring more. Maybe push is a bad word because push is a little bit too aggressive.
to
Let's say to
encourage.
encourage. Yes, I was looking for the right word. Encourage them to explore more, to taste more, to because at the end, this is the beauty of life. When we have no
Yeah,
life anymore, there is no other possibility to do it. Everything that is, when the chapter is closed, everything that is undone will be undone forever.
yeah,
So it's incredibly important to do everything we can now.
absolutely. Yeah. And this is also why I like the Eight of Cups, because this is the ship and it reminds me of some kind of Arabic Venice.
Yeah, oh, I love that you said because I said, let's see what if
And
you not, yeah,
you can go there, you can go there, you can leave the boat, climb up the
yeah.
stairs.
If
Yeah,
you notice, every room has a
yeah,
different architectural mood. So there are references to the Islamic world. There are the references to the South America or the Central America, so the pre-Columbian civilization. Then there are castles. There are more Middle-aged Western castles. There are places that looks like to be in Asia. This is because I want the castle, the deck is a concept is universal. Now everyone all around the world they are creating and using tarot decks. Doesn't belong anymore to the Christian Western culture. So I love when someone that is, I don't know, a Buddhist background or a Shinto background creating a tarot deck
yeah,
because they put their own point of view on life and it's beautiful. I love
mm,
that. It's deeper and riches. And this is the reason why I know when I was doing it, I have two ideas that meld together. One is Venice, and Venice is there because if you think about, I started with Calvino. Calvino wrote a book that I keep reading and reading every time, The Invisible Cities. The Invisible Cities is is very philosophical and poetical at the same time. It's a description of impossible places. Every city is just like that on a page, so very short. But every city at the end is a way, an aspect for Marco Polo to describe his loneliness for his longing for Venice. And Venice is one of the city I love the most on the planet. I love Venice. I saw the carnival a couple of times. I
Mm.
miss Venice. That is maybe one of the places where I can live. Venice for me is poetical, is incredible, is madness, is pure man. I love Venice, is art. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to mix the idea of Venice living something that you don't want to live, maybe, the golden cage, but if you stay in a place that you love, you never discover all the other places, with all the other adventures waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then I mix it with what for me is incredibly important in my life, that is the Moresque style. I love the Arabic Spain, so El
Hmm.
Andalus is, I left my heart there. Unfortunately, when we talk, well, when other people talk about Islam now, they have a very bad
Hmm.
idea, is very biased. But when I think about Islam, I think about Rumi, one of the best and the
Mm.
deepest poet that ever lived on our
Yeah.
planet. I think about a culture of refinement, a culture of music, of beauty, of the extreme, and in the beauty of their philosophy. I think about Sufism. Islam
Hmm.
is complex. We cannot think about, it's like thinking about Christianity, having in mind some mad Christian white power extremist.
Yeah.
This is wrong. I have a lot
Yeah.
of friends of mine that are gay and are Muslim. Where is the problem? I mean, there are different ways of being Muslim. And so I always hate when people talk about a culture that is so rich, so
Yeah.
beautiful, with such despise. I hate it. Then I mean, this is the beauty of being born in Italy. It's like an island in the middle of the Mediterranean.
Mm.
So we are connected. And I think myself not more as an Italian or that much as an Italian, but as a Mediterranean man.
Yeah.
It's different because I don't see that much of difference between me, a Maghrebian person, a Greek, a Turkish, or a South of French, or a Spanish one, because we share a sea, we share the same food, we share many times the same kind of rhythm of music with different innuendo, but different style. But there is a Mediterranean core. It is the remain of the Roman Empire,
Yeah.
Mare Nostrum, our sea.
Yeah.
I think is important. I always remind people one of my personal motto that is in German, but if I say wrong, please correct me. Mein Feld ist die Welt.
Hmm.
My field is the world.
Yeah.
What I don't like or what I see now in every country that unfortunately I live in or I cross is nationalism. I don't feel Italian like I don't feel English or German or whatever. I'm a
Mm.
human being. I belong
Welcome to
to
my
humanity.
world.
I belong to humanity.
Yeah.
The language I speak, the culture I born is an accident, is something I have no power of, I am
Yeah.
not proud of, because there is nothing to be proud of. To be Italian, it's not that to be Italian is better than to be English. I'm not proud of my being, my belonging to a peculiar culture. It's an
Yeah.
accident. I want to belong to every culture. I want to
Yeah.
learn every language. This is the richness of humanity. So when I hear people say, oh, it is immigrants, I feel immediately something deeply inside me that want to scream. Yeah, I
Mm.
don't see immigrants, I see another person.
Of
I'm
course.
curious. I want to know their story. I don't want to judge them. I don't
Mm.
want to put walls. I don't want to live in a world where there are just walls and barriers. It's
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we live in pretty strange times.
Yeah, but we have the chance to fight against it,
Mm.
to
That's
knock
true.
the wall. I mean, remember The Walls by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
We have the possibility, the ability to destroy that walls brick by
Yeah.
brick if necessary.
Yeah. Brick by brick. Yeah. Oh, would love to talk for hours, to speak for hours with you, but I think now we're already talking for an hour or
An hour and a
so.
half more, maybe. But you see, whenever you talk about tarot, you talk
Yeah,
about life. And
yeah,
this is the beauty of tarot. Tarot is like a mirror. They reflecting what you put in front of them.
absolutely. This is also what I always said. Tarot is a mirror of yourself, of your soul, of life, of everything.
Thank you so much, Joanna, for this more
Thank you for being
interesting
here.
talk.
Thank you for sharing your ideas, your thoughts, your energy. It was really, really amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. Thanks to everyone.